Toss the Boss is a fantastic initiative. It enables people to get involved in a fun activity, something that the general public would do, but to raise funds for a very important cause.
Toss Your Boss has also been great for our workplace because it's got everybody involved, not only in finding out more about type 1 diabetes, but in working out how we can contribute to the broader community. At the moment, we've got all of our staff deciding who they would like to drop from a plane at 14,000 feet.
I was first diagnosed with type 1 diabetes Easter weekend when I was about 2.5. Personally, I know about 5 people with type 1 diabetes. 3 of those are actually direct family members. One of them is my housemate and another a close friend. With my family, because it was already something they were aware of, they dealt with it quite well. There was also a lot of support given to them, which was really great.
While insulin and technology such as insulin pumps and continuous glucose monitors are all available for people living with type 1 diabetes, they're not a cure. People living with diabetes still need to inject insulin, test their blood glucose regularly, and they are at risk of diabetes-related complications. Type 1 diabetes is an autoimmune condition that can't be prevented. It's not affected by diet, exercise or lifestyle factors. Most cases of type 2 are, although some genetic factors also come into play.
Diabetes has affected me in a workplace environment more so along the lines of when you get the common cold, purely because you take a little bit longer to get over things than the normal person. Many people are aware of me having type 1 diabetes. I think it's very important to let people who are close around you know, just in case anything does happen. That way they know how to take the correct steps into managing that.
This is also a lot of fun for us because we're in the process of rebranding. So it's out with the old and in with the new, and we're hoping to provide greater and better client service. So we'll be changing our name from Haycroft Workplace Solutions, and maybe we'll be throwing Ben Haycroft out of the plane. We've
been Haycroft Workplace Solutions for around about 8 or 9 years. My old man started, but there's a few more directors now, and so we're going to drop the Haycroft bit, and the reality is they're going to toss it, so that could be me.
Before my daughter was diagnosed with diabetes 11 years ago, I didn't know anyone who had type 1 diabetes. Now I know hundreds of people, both children and adults, all living with type 1 diabetes. While we don't know exactly what causes type 1 diabetes, we do know that genetics and environmental triggers have a great deal to do with it. JDRF is currently funding an Australian clinical trial called ENDIA, where they're looking at what those environmental triggers might be.
At time of employment, you need to make your employers aware and give them a step-by-step on how to manage the events in time of a hypo or a hyper.
Money raised in Australia for JDRF goes towards this country's best research and researchers. Over the years, JDRF Australia have funded over $100 million into this area.
Businesses being involved in the Toss Your Boss campaign really gives the extra exposure to the type 1 cause. People need to know what we're about, and it's educating and shedding some light on the whole situation.
There are a lot of very exciting projects that JDRF are working on to work towards type none. One of the most exciting is the encapsulation clinical trials that are happening now in the US, in human trials. If successful, people could receive an implant of protected insulin-producing cells that would essentially act as a cure for type 1 diabetes.
Working with JDRF Australia for the last 4 years or so. The last time we had the group here, that completed 150 jumps in total over that time and raised about $200,000. A good bunch of people to have here, and it's nice to be able to make a difference to their cause.
Marcia's been with Workplace Central for around 3.5 years. As our manager of the Workplace Partners team, we've got about 8 staff who are really keen to see her tossed.
Don't worry guys, I'll be back in the office tomorrow.
She seems like the perfect fit for the jump. Being a part of the team for so long, Marcia's also got personal experience with the effects of type 1 diabetes.
Family and friends of people living with type 1 diabetes also go through emotional roller coaster. I know firsthand, diabetes is very prevalent in my mother's side of the family. My mum, who does have type 1 diabetes, she has lost all her nerves in her feet. She can't feel her feet whatsoever, so that of course affects her walking. Doesn't affect her walking as much as her cousin though, who's had her foot actually amputated because of her diabetes. I've seen my grandmother go into a diabetic coma, which is scary. But really the saddest thing for me was losing my grandfather. He died from diabetes-related kidney disease, so I do know firsthand what it's like for everyone to have to deal with type 1 diabetes. Wow. It's quite common, and I'm here really to show the support for everyone who's going through the similar sort of experiences as I have and have been affected by.
Marcia is really known in our workplace for diving headfirst into things, so I think that's why Toss Your Boss has been a great fundraising initiative that we've been excited to get behind, because it's an opportunity for our employees to also turn the tables on the boss and throw them out of an aeroplane. It's fun for Marcia, I hope. It's certainly fun for us, and it's a great time for the charity as well. When we started the fundraiser, what we found was that through our network there are actually a lot of people who had experience, and family and friends who also experienced type 1 diabetes, with over 120,000 Aussies living with the condition. Many of us through our careers will work with someone who is or is related to someone with type 1 diabetes.
Exactly, and I'm just so proud of everyone, all our staff members, for taking part in this fundraiser when they asked me, so of course I couldn't resist.
I'm here for moral support for Marcia. I'm definitely not jumping out of the plane, but I am definitely very excited to be part of the JDRF Australia fundraising initiative, and glad to see Marcia jumping out from 14,000 feet.
Okay, I have to admit I am a little nervous, but I'm glad that I can make this small, I suppose sky-high contribution to the cause. People living with type 1 experience sudden drops in their blood sugar levels, so it's pretty awesome that this event does symbolically link with the condition itself.
Happy birthday, Marcia. Good luck. May God be with you.
Hi Marcia, happy birthday. Good luck. I have some crutches here if you need them afterwards, so hope you have a good time.
Spread your wings and fly tomorrow.
Don't forget your parachute. Keep your eyes open.
Don't look down. Have a great time.
Pretty excited, a little bit nervous, but not much. It's pretty good. It's just fantastic what they do, the support they give to the families and to the people who are suffering from type 1 diabetes. And for arranging this is just brilliant. I think it just makes me appreciate how much that I do have my eyesight. It's a beautiful day. You see all around, but to have to lose that ability if you are suffering from diabetes, it's tragic.
That's such a fantastic jump. It was so exciting.
It was.
I think it's really important for people to understand that type 1 diabetes is a disease that affects people for a lifetime. They may be diagnosed as a child, they may be diagnosed as an adult, but they have it for the rest of their life. You may meet a 70-year-old who has diabetes. Don't naturally presume that they have type 2. They may have type 1. Type 1 is a very difficult disease to live with. It affects the entire family and people's friends as well. People living with it deal with it every minute of every day. They don't get any break. It affects their families, it affects their working life, it affects everything to do with them. It's very important for people to understand type 1 diabetes better. Don't be fearful of it. Don't discriminate against employees because they might have it. I'm fearful for my own daughter's future. I don't want her to be discriminated against. I don't want her to have to deal with issues in her workplace. I don't want her to have to explain her disease to everybody. I would love people to learn more about type 1 diabetes and how it affects people living with it.